So how does it happen? How do data breaches happen? The leading cause is going to be social engineering. No matter how good of a hacker I think I am, I can't break through your firewalls. But if I spend a few minutes online, I can garner enough information from a Facebook page, from a LinkedIn page, to trick you into doing something that you probably shouldn't. Social engineering is just that, tricking you into performing an action or divulging information that you shouldn't. And it represents more than 90% of all data breaches out there. The four main types of social engineering are going to be phishing. Hopefully you're aware of social engineering through emails, but there's also vishing, which is social engineering through phone calls. There's smishing, which is short message service, SMS text messaging, phishing through text messaging. And then lastly, but probably most scary, is in-person social engineering. That's where a bad guy actually goes on site and attempts to trick you into giving out information. So as we look at phishing, again, social engineering through electronic communication, generally speaking through email. And that's usually going to play on fear. That's where a bad guy might send an email that says, click on this or else, follow this link or else, perhaps open an attachment or else. And that could also be a pathway for follow-on attacks, such as looking for information. Perhaps they spend some time online digging through your personal information, doing what's called open source intelligence gathering, or OSINT. And that's going to take it from phishing into spear phishing. In this example, the fraudster is attempting to get the victim to open an attachment. So as you can see, thanks for your work with us, your bill is X amount of dollars, follow this link, open this attachment. Again, they're trying to get you to click on something that you probably shouldn't. So you can see that hyperlink in the middle of the page. One thing to be aware of with hyperlinks, they don't have to take you to the website that they say they're going to take you to. I could type out target.com, highlight that, right-click on it, and go down to Edit Hyperlink and have the link take you to walmart.com. So you think you're going to Target's website, but you go to Walmart's website. As we look at this example, this is from Microsoft. This is from Outlook. All Hotmail customers have been upgraded to Outlook.com. Follow this link and log in. Just because it says Outlook doesn't mean it came from Microsoft. A bad guy can create a fake page that looks like the login page. So with this example, it might look just like the Hotmail login page, and when you type in your information, the fraudster is just trying to harvest your credentials. That takes us to vishing, which is social engineering through voice solicitation, generally speaking through phone calls. This is where a malicious actor is going to call and attempt to gather information. Usually this is conducted live, so the fraudster is actually on the other end of the phone, but there certainly are tools out there that can automate the process, so a computer is attempting to call the victim. Now it's important to note that the fraudsters aren't going to call and ask for an account number or a credit card number. They're likely going to ask for follow-on information. Perhaps they ask what type of printer you have or what type of firmware you're running. Maybe they claim to be from your IT department and they're asking what version of Windows you're running. The reason why they're doing this is they're attempting to look for vulnerabilities in your system that they can use for later follow-on attacks. Smishing is the next form of social engineering that we're going to talk about. Again, this plays off the short message service or a general text message. So in this case, we can do high volume, but really low input. So computers can do approximately 4 billion things a second. I can have my computer guess 100,000 phone numbers with your area code, and it can say, hey, this is from a really large bank. We recently had a cyber attack. Text us your account number and we'll tell you whether or not your account was affected. Now, 99% of us are probably going to delete that text message without thinking of it. But unfortunately, 1% might respond with those account numbers. And that's still 1,000 accounts if we sent that to 100,000, right? And then we can balloon that up to 1 million phone numbers, right? We can see how quickly things go from bad to worse. It's important to know that attackers can also send malicious links in those text messages. As you can see from these examples, there are a number of different methods that attackers will use to try to get your information. They can claim to be from a government agency seeking your information, your tax information perhaps, or they can claim to be from a bank and having unusual account activity. And so follow this link and log in and we can tell you if you've had unusual activity in your account. Now let's talk about in-person social engineering. Now, this is a lot more prevalent than we realize. The bad guys are out there actively trying to get into your organization. While this is a little bit easier at large organizations because there can be a lot of people walking around that maybe you don't know, the preferred method for attackers at large organizations is to piggyback or tailgate through a locked door following somebody. Certainly, those bad guys could be looking for server room access, right? Computer room access. They could be looking for information. What do we leave setting out on our desks? Certainly, workplace violence is a scary thing to think about, but we need to think about it, right? These bad guys could be walking around our office. They could be casing it, looking for methods to conduct follow-on attacks. And then theft. They might be trying to steal computers, steal monitors, other types of office equipment. Whatever your business is, they might be looking to steal those things. To deliver any of these in-person social engineering tools, I can claim to be somebody that I'm not. Perhaps I claim to be a drywaller or a plumber. If I can walk around your building and get to your machines, get to your computers, I can plug this stuff in, I can download that information, I can find whatever's on the desk. So we need to make sure that we're locking down our computers, that we're keeping our desks clean. It's important to note that this isn't limited to large Fortune 500 companies. This affects everybody. And whether you're a 5,000 or a 10,000 person company, or you're a small auto body shop, right? This affects you. And when we think about what information they're after, sometimes it's easy to think, hey, we don't have credit card information, we don't have social security numbers, so we're immune from this. They're not going to be after us. But perhaps they're looking for a follow-on attack. Perhaps there's a large Department of Defense employer in your area, and perhaps some of their kids go to the school district. So maybe they want to go after that school district and they want to look at what's on the lunch menu, right? How can I craft an email? How can I do a little bit of research on the front side to craft an email that's going to get somebody to click on something that they shouldn't? To recap social engineering, we discussed phishing, social engineering through electronic communications, namely email, vishing, social engineering through phone calls, smishing, social engineering through text message, and in-person social engineering. All of these together represent 93% of all breaches. You are the first line of defense in protecting your organization.